I'm a man. I'm a full-grown man. I'm a man. I'm a rolling stone.
Okay. I'm a man. I remain a man. I'm still a man. I posted another vlog before a week went by. I'm going to try to keep that up. Not making any promises, not making any more wagers, even with myself. But I just wanted to let you know, Jason, you were soundly drubbed by yourself. This is a textbook sound drubbing. So now I'm going to try to make this an actual vlog instead of me talking about giving myself imaginary challenges. The topic of today's vlog would be what we did this weekend. This is the weekend, for those of you in the Huntsville area probably know, of Big Spring Jam. Now, some of you who are not from the Huntsville area may be saying, why is it called Big Spring Jam? Surely it may be big, and it may be a jam. And don't call me Shirley. But it's not spring. Do you people in Alabama not know anything? It's fall. It's not spring. Or autumn. I say fall. Autumn sounds just a little frou-frou. I like fall. And could you ever sound less manly than when you're saying the word frou? At any rate, we have it in the fall, and we know that it's not fall. But there's a park called Big Spring Park, which is where the Big Spring is. Which, if you're from Huntsville, you know there's a whole story behind the Big Spring. I may tell you that story sometime. That's not what this vlog is about. This vlog is about what we did this weekend. What we did this weekend was go to Big Spring Jam, which is in Big Spring Park, but oddly enough, not in the part with the spring in it, I don't think. Unless there's two springs. I don't know. It's a big spring. Maybe it's that big. You Huntsville people can correct me. I'm originally a Colemanite. I'm a transplant to Huntsville, not a native Huntsvillian or Huntsvillian, whichever one you think sounds cooler. Anyway, back on topic. Big Spring Jam is like a big music festival. It's 3 days. They've been doing it for about 15 years. This year was 60 different bands. Sadly, no local bands. They said there was no interest in local bands. This is the first time we got to go. And traditionally, there's rain every year. But this year was beautiful. It was heavenly weather. The two bands that stand out the most were Cracker. They were really good, but it was sort of a shame because the stage they were on the WZYP stage, and the WZYP stage on Saturday, which is the day that we saw them, the day that they played. The bands that were scheduled that night to go after them were Seether and Breaking Benjamins and some other band that I can't even think of, but they're all like sort of these post-grunge sort of, grungy bands. And so there's all these kids there to see them, and I don't know if these kids didn't know who Cracker were or they didn't care who Cracker were. Or maybe Cracker was, because the band is a singular entity, so they didn't care who Cracker was. Yeah. They didn't care who Cracker was, and the energy was terrible. Cracker sounded really good. They just did 4 or 5 songs. Did their hits, did a couple off their new album, which is called Greenland. And to make up for the crappy audience reaction they got, please go out and buy their new album. So then we saw them, and then immediately after them, we were going to hurry and ran all the way halfway across Huntsville because the stages were really spread out, I guess by necessity, because they're really loud. This band, the second band, they had 2 slots, and the first one was during Cracker's set, so I thought we were going to miss half of it, but we'll get to see the last half. When I showed up, apparently there had been technical difficulties, which I promise I had nothing to do with, even though it was a happy accident for me. And I got to see the whole set, and it was Parliament Funkadelic. It was George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic. And George Clinton is 1 year younger than my dad. but he can still put on an amazing show. It's a good show. He's an amazing showman. He didn't come out till like halfway through the second song, but when he came out, he didn't have to hardly do anything just to get the crowd going and get the other band members going. And there's like 300 band members. People come on and come off, and some guy comes out for 5 seconds, does a little dance, and I guess he like travels with them all the time. Just comes out, does his little 5 minutes, and go back and play Xbox or whatever. Anyway, they were really good. The crowd was, really good mix. It was older people who had listened to Parliament like in the early 70s. They were dancing like they were teenagers. And there were teenagers there that were dancing like they had listened to Parliament in the early 70s. They weren't even born in the early 70s. So it was really just super high energy, and the band sounded awesome and really good. So if you get a chance to see George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic live, it's well worth it. Just don't get as close as we got, because my ears, if I do this, my ears are still ringing. Okay, now I'm going to do the segue of the year, and segue from Parliament to Church Picnic. After the show last night, came home really tired. Get up and go to get on up and go to Mass this morning, which is really nice. And then I assistant teach 7th grade religious education class, so I went and did that. And after that, at about 1 o'clock later on, we had a parish picnic, which was wonderful. Weather's still beautiful. Some good food. Saw some people that we know. Got hit up to join the Knights of Columbus again. I don't know if you get like time off in purgatory for recruiting people, but at any rate, got hit up to do that again, and but they're pretty persistent, I'll tell you that. Anyway, the picnic was sort of in honor of our new pastor, Father Phil. And speaking of new clergy persons, we're having our new bishop, the Diocese of Birmingham, of which we are a part, so having our new bishop installed on Tuesday, October 2nd, which will be the Feast of the Guardian Angels. This Bishop Robert Baker will be our new bishop. Very thankful for him. So I guess that's it. This is almost a real blog. It's almost it's not quite as contrived as the other 2 blogs were. This has been a little more natural. I'll know that it's a real blog. You'll know this is a real V-blog when I come in and just cut it on and just go, let me tell you what happened. I'll come in being furious about something, or crying like a little girl. Anyway, that's it. I'll